Welcome back to Advanced Algebra with Financial Applications. We are starting a new lesson, all right? This is day one. This is day one of lesson 4, and it's credit cards. This is probably the lesson you've all been waiting for in the consumer credit line, right? Credit cards. All right, well, we got 2 learning targets for this lesson. I think there's like something like 7 or 8 days to this lesson. So we'll have these learning targets for a little while now. But this for day one here is I can become familiar with the basic vocabulary of credit cards, and I can compute an average daily balance. All right. So you want to become familiar with these basic vocabulary cards and vocabulary words and the basic vocabulary of credit cards, and that you can compute an average daily balance. So we're going to talk about this vocabulary right here, right? What is a credit card? What is impulse buying? What is a revolving charge account? A charge card versus a credit card? The Truth in Lending Act, the Fair Credit Billing Act, the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, right? A debit card, Electronic Funds Transfer Act, the average daily balance, and a mean. We'll probably be looking at these vocabulary terms. Of course, it's day one of the lesson, which means there's going to be a little bit of reading to do. Okay, so I've got like 2 text walls that I've tried to. Well, there's one giant text wall I broke it into 2 pieces. We'll be looking at that. So while we do that, we have some next generation standards and practices here to take a look at. We'll certainly be modeling with mathematics, right? We'll be attending to precision. We are going to be reasoning abstractly and quantitatively, and yeah, so good. And of course, what we do all the time is make sense of word problems and persevere in solving them. All right. So you're going to want to put your name right here, just like I am putting my name right there. All right, where it says your name. You can review the math topics that we might be going through in this unit. And here's our plan of study, right? We are on Unit 2, Consumer Credit. We are doing Lesson 4, Credit Cards, which again, it's going to take a week or 2 to get done. And then we might do the last lesson of this unit is Lesson 5, Average Daily Balance. We'll get to that later. All right, so here's where I read to you this thing. Perhaps if you like to read to yourself, maybe you just want to pause me and then fast forward to where I get through with this. I'm going to read this for those who don't like reading large blocks of text. All right, so just follow along, or you can, of course, the beauty of a video is you can fast forward this. What do I need to know to use credit cards? Well, plastic credit cards were introduced in the 1950s. A credit card is a plastic card that entitles its holder to make purchases and pay for them later. The issuer of the card has given the person whose name is on the account a line of credit. The account holder of a credit card has signed an agreement to pay for any purchase made using the card. All right, so that's kind of like what the idea of this credit card is. Credit cards are very prevalent today, right? They're probably maybe more popular than cash. And these days, credit cards aren't even necessarily physical cards anymore, right? If you've got smartwatches, if you've got smartphones, you can have Apple Pay, Google Pay services, these kinds of things. You pay electronically through just like swiping, not just a card, but like an electronic device. Businesses that honor credit cards believe that consumers spend more money when they just have to sign their names. There's this important kind of mental difference between actually removing cash out of your wallet and giving it to the cashier compared to swiping a card, right? It doesn't feel like you lose anything when you swipe a card. It feels like you're just gaining new things. So you might have a tendency to spend more money because mentally it's a different game, right? When you actually have to take money out of your wallet or give money to the cashier, you have this feeling of trade. You've lost money in exchange for good things. When it's a credit card, you don't have quite that feeling of having given up anything yet. You are. So maybe you spend a little more money. The use of credit cards probably increases impulse buying. Remember, that's one of our vocab terms. Impulse buying is when a consumer purchases something to which they suddenly were attracted to and had no intention of buying. The convenience of using credit cards also can attract new customers to stores that accept them. Consumers enjoy many advantages when using a credit card. For instance, there's no need to carry a large sum of cash, right? Responsible use of a credit card actually can help your credit rating, your FICO score, which we talked about in earlier lessons. Consumers can receive or have access to a written record of all purchases, right? Once a month, they send you your monthly bill, and it has a list of all the purchases you made on that credit card that month. So it's kind of nice to have a record of every purchase you've made that month if all your purchases were made using the credit card. And then, of course, some cards also have like a reward program, such as frequent flyer miles. If you like to travel, this can be like a really kind of nice little bonus, right? Sometimes it's a mile per dollar or something that you spend. So, you end up spending, what, maybe $5,000 on the credit card over the course of a year, and then you get 5,000 miles. Maybe that's a trip to California or something. It can be kind of cool to get those little rewards. There are two types of credit card accounts. The most commonly used is the revolving charge account. This means that the entire bill does not have to be paid in full each month. There is, however, a minimum monthly payment, and there is a finance charge the month following any bill, and following any month that the bill is not paid in full. All right, this is that idea that revolving charge account, you pay monthly, and you don't need to pay it off at the end of the month. Customers have the convenience of stretching out payments over as many months as they choose. However, the interest costs for doing so are relatively high, right? The popular revolving charge accounts include Visa, MasterCard, American Express, and Discover Card. Okay? And again, this was a giant text wall. Broke it up because nobody likes text walls, right? Throw a little image in there. All right. What do I need to know to use credit cards continued? Well, a charge card is a special kind of credit card. It allows the cardholder to make purchases in places that accept the card. The monthly bill for all purchases must be paid in full. So that's a charge card, not used as often. You got to pay it off every month, right? There's no interest charge on an actual charge card. Popular charge cards to use today include Diners Club and certain types of American Express cards. Most people informally use the words charge card when they mean credit card, and so these things are sometimes used interchangeably. However, a charge card is technically a little different than a credit card, right? Usually it's a credit card if most people have. Using credit cards is both a convenience and a responsibility. There is a temptation to overspend, and the card also can be lost. The Truth in Lending Act protects you if your card is lost or stolen. If this happens, notify the creditor who issued you the card immediately. You may be partially responsible for the charges made by unauthorized users of the cards you lose. The maximum liability is $50. You are not responsible for any charges that occur after you notify the creditor. All right, did you hear that? Did you hear that? So you may be partially responsible for charges made by unauthorized users of the cards if you lose your card. The maximum liability you can be liable for is $50, which means $50 is the maximum amount of money you can be responsible for if people are making fraudulent charges on your account because you lost the card, and you are not responsible for any of the charges that occur after you've notified the creditor that the card has been lost or stolen. If the credit card number and not the actual card is stolen, you're not responsible actually for any of the fraudulent purchases made. It is the responsibility of the person selling the merchandise to make sure that the purchaser is actually the card owner. Card holders receive a monthly statement of their purchases and any payments they made to the creditor. The Fair Credit and Billing Act protects you if there were any errors in your monthly statement. If there are any errors in your monthly statement, you can get those errors fixed via the Fair Credit Billing Act. It is, however, your responsibility to notify the creditor about the error. You do not have to pay the amount that is disputed or any finance charge based on the amount until the problem is cleared up. If you find yourself unable to meet payments required by a creditor, you should notify that creditor immediately. The Fair Debt Collection Practices Act prohibits the creditor from harassing you or using unfair means to collect the amount owed. So as you can see, you kind of need to be knowledgeable to responsibly use credit and charge cards, right? You need to kind of have an idea of what your liabilities are, and kind of have to be responsible with that card, right? If someone steals it or if it's lost. There's another type of plastic card out there. It's known as a debit card. Maybe some people have these, right? A debit card is neither a credit nor a charge card because there is no creditor extending credit. If you open a debit account, you deposit money into your account. And if the debit card acts, then the debit card acts like kind of like an electronic check. Every time you're making a payment, that amount is deducted directly from your account. When you use a debit card, you are deducting money directly from your account each time you make a purchase using the debit card. You cannot make purchases that exceed the balance in your debit account. This is why a debit card is not a charge card, it's not a credit card, because there's no creditor extending you credit. You're literally just using money in your own account when you use a debit card. The Electronic Funds Transfer Act protects debit card users against unauthorized use of their cards. They are not responsible for purchases made with a lost or stolen card after the card is reported missing. Most debit cards carry a Visa or MasterCard logo, and the card holder can choose at the time of purchase if the purchase acts as a debit card purchase or a credit card purchase. At some retailers, when you use a debit card, you are charged a fee similar to the fees charged in an ATM. All right, so that's the basics there. Again, hopefully, maybe if you wanted to fast forward this, you didn't have to hear me read all that. But we are going to move on to example 1. All right, example 1. Do you remember how this works? Frank lost his credit card in a local mall. He notified his creditor before the card was used. However, later in the day, someone found the card, and they went ahead and charged $700 worth of hockey equipment on Frank's credit card. How much is Frank responsible for paying? Well, if you recall, there's this thing called the Truth in Lending Act. By the Truth in Lending Act, Frank is responsible for $0 because he reported it lost before it was used, right? Because he reported it lost before it was used, he's not responsible for any of that money that got charged. He doesn't have to pay back any of that $700 of stuff that he didn't buy, right? That someone else fraudulently charged to his card. Okay, give this one a shot. Carrie's credit card was stolen. She didn't realize it for days, however, at which point she notified her creditor. During that time, someone charged $2,000. How much is Carrie responsible for paying? If you want to pause the video, put your response right here. All right, the beauty of YouTube and these videos, you can pause me at any time. All right, well, if you recall, she's going to be partially responsible for this, but she doesn't have to pay the whole $2,000. All right, so remember this over here. Because the Truth in Lending Act protects you if your card is lost or stolen. If this happens, notify the creditor who issued the card immediately. You may be partially responsible for the charges made by unauthorized users of cards you lose. However, the maximum liability is $50, right? You are not responsible for any charges that occur after you notify the creditor. So here, Carrie's card was stolen. She didn't realize it. Maybe someone, took it right out of her purse and walked away or something. Well, anyway, she didn't realize it for a couple days. Then she notified the creditor. In between time, someone charged $2,000. She'll be responsible for $50, right? That's the kind of the response you want to put in there. She's going to be responsible for $50 of this because she hadn't notified the creditor that there was a problem. All right. Our second little problem here is Donald. Donald actually didn't lose his credit card, but someone used Donald's credit card number to order a PS5 online for $699.99. How much is Donald responsible for paying? All right, maybe you go back to that text if you will recall. Tell me how much is Donald responsible for paying if someone used his credit card number to purchase a PS5. All right, hopefully you paused me. You're unpausing me now, right? Okay, remember, Donald's not responsible for anything in this case, right? Because it's actually it's the merchant's right. Let's see. If the credit card number and not the actual card is stolen, you are not responsible for any purchases. It is the responsibility of the person selling the merchandise, the merchant, to make sure the purchaser is actually the card owner. Card holders receive a monthly statement. And the fair, okay, we don't need that part, just this part. It's all right. So Donald's actually not going to be responsible for anything. He's not responsible for any of this because his credit card number was stolen. And we have a law. We have a law called the, let's see, where was it? I forget which one it was. It's probably the Fair Credit Billing Act, right? Yeah. Or either that or the Truth in Lending Act. Yeah, probably the Truth in Lending Act, actually. I'd have to look it up, though. It's in separate paragraphs. I forget. That's all right. We'll get it cleared up. All right. Example 2. Credit card companies issue a monthly statement. Therefore, the APR, the annual percentage rate, must be converted to a monthly percentage rate. If the APR is 21.6%, what is then the monthly interest rate? Well, to figure this out, we're going to have to change a monthly interest rate. We're going to have to divide the APR by 12. Why 12? Because there are 12 months in 1 year. So if the annual interest rate is 21.6%, and if there are 12 months in each year, if we divide by 12, then we'll find out how much of a percentage rate you're getting charged each month. Well, that turns out 21.6 divided by 12 is actually 1.8, right? So the monthly APR, is 1.8%. This is the percent that will be used to compute the monthly finance charge. All right, so I will let you take on this one. What is the monthly interest rate of a credit card with an APR of 15%, round to the nearest hundredth? All right, here's where you want to pause the video and give this a shot. Great, you've through the magic of pausing a video, you figured this out yourself, right? Well, you know, I would probably pull out a calculator here. Remember, I need to take the APR and divide by 12, right? That's pretty simple. So if my APR is 15%, I'm going to divide by 12, and I probably right there. Oh, I got 1.25%. It says round to the nearest hundredth. Well, fortunately, the hundredths place is right here with 5. I don't need to round this one. And just keep it at 1.5, right? Well, I'm sorry, 1.25, right? 1.25%, right? So right here, 1.25%, something like that. What is the monthly interest rate of a credit card with an APR of 25%? You know, through the magic of video, pause me now and figure out what the monthly interest rate would be for a credit card with an APR of 25% would be. All right. All right, good. You paused me. You gave this a shot. I think I'm just going to move on to the next one. These last two, I want to see if you can do them. So I'm not going to talk about them. Hopefully, if you're just following the pattern, you get this idea. So Monty here, this is a little bit of a challenge problem. Monty just calculated that he was charged a 2.41% monthly interest rate on his revolving balance on his credit card this month. What is the APR, the annual percentage rate of Monty's credit card if he was charged 2.41% in terms of a monthly interest rate? Give this some thought. Give this some thought. Pause me here. Think it deep. Give yourself a chance to think, okay? All right, you unpaused me. You gave this a shot, hopefully. I'm not going to give you the answer, but let's talk about the difference, all right? Over here, a second ago, I had a 15% annual interest rate, and to get the monthly, I had to divide by 12. Remember that? Well, how would I take this monthly then and convert it back into an annual? I'd have to multiply by 12, wouldn't I? I'd have to undo the divide by 12 and instead multiply by 12. 1.25 multiplied by 12, undoing the division, gives me my 15% back. So if you wanted to find this 2.41%, 2.41% as a monthly interest rate, you would have to undo the division by 12 that got it to this thing in the first place by multiplying by 12. All right, feeling good about that? All right, I won't give you the answer for that one. I think you can get what you need from there. Tyler is considering a credit card with a 2% monthly interest rate and another card with a 20% annual percentage rate. So there's either a 2% monthly interest rate or a 20% annual percentage rate. Which card has a lower interest rate? All right. Is it the credit card with a 2% monthly interest rate is less than a card with a 20% annual interest rate, or is the credit card with a 20% annual interest rate less than the card with a 2% monthly interest rate? You tell me. It's got to be either or, right? Which one of these is less? Oh, okay. So this one asks, what law protects you if your card is lost or stolen? All right. What law protects you if your card is lost and stolen? Maybe you want to go through, maybe you want to scan the text that's above here to find that answer, protect you, or maybe you want to just listen to me read it to you again. You'll just rewind this video and have me read it to you again, right? What are the 3 advantages? Oh, you want to pause me and maybe answer that after you found it, all right? All right, you maybe unpause me now. Let's talk about this next one. What are the 3 advantages of using a credit card or electronic payment system over cash? Again, I talked about it before. Maybe you want to review that text and find that answer again, or have me read it to you again by rewinding this particular video. Your choice. Pause me now or rewind me, whatever your choice is, and go ahead and answer this one. All right, finally, you've unpaused me. What law protects the creditor from harassing you or using unfair means to collect the amount owed? All right, remember that? There's a law out there that'll protect you from a creditor harassing you. What law is that? Go back up to that text and find that somewhere in here or here. Find that law that helps protect you from harassment, or let's have me read it to you again using the video, and you can answer that question, okay? Once you get done with that one, all right, once you get done with that one, you are going to do a little learning reflection, right? We had a learning target. I can become familiar with the basic vocabulary of credit cards. We did some basic vocabulary of credit cards today, so I need to know, were you completely successful? You got this? You're ready for the test? You fully met the learning target, you think? Or mostly successful? You pretty much got this. I would expect most of you would be somewhere in here, anywhere from mostly to kinda, all right? Kind of successful. You get the basics, but you need to work on this more. Were you not successful at all? Are you still confused? Do you need to work on this more? Remember, you get points no matter what you say. I just want you to reflect on how you feel you did in terms of meeting the learning target. Research says that you're a pretty good assessor of your own meeting of learning targets. And if you have any additional feedback, if you got questions, if you got suggestions, I used to have a question here, which is, do you find the learning useful? And I felt like I felt like I was goading you to answer yes. I really just wanted you to tell me whether I was getting too abstract, or whether there was not enough financial applications, or whether I was doing all right that way. But I think I'm going to go with questions, suggestions, feedback. All right. In order for me to make these better, I need your feedback. You tell me if I'm talking too fast. Tell me if the videos are working for you, not working for you. Sometimes I don't read exactly what's on the text, and sometimes I worry that might not be what's best. Maybe you like my additional commentary. I don't know. You want to, either way, give me your feedback. You got to write something in here, right? You can't leave a blank. I can't give you credit for a blank. Give me something, even if it's just nah or IDK or something. All right. And then you click submit. Clicking that submit button, it does all sorts of magic. All right. And it saves your responses. All right. That's what we got. Day 1, introduction. We're getting our vocabulary towards credit cards. All right. We'll see you tomorrow. Mr. Solt signing off. Ooh, I did pretty good with this one. Only 23 minutes? Good.